So for those who don't know me, my name is Jacob Bahador. I'm a senior student at Martingrove Collegiate and the president of TEDxYouthMCI. So before we get started, how many high school students are here today? Great. How many people are friends and families of the speakers we have today? Great. So regardless of why you're here, we're so happy that you guys came out to come support us and also the speakers. So, how many of you are familiar with TEDx? How many of you are not familiar with TEDx? Only one hand. That's great to see. So for those who don't know, TEDxYouthMCI is a program that is set to give a stage to those who don't usually have one, such as our Martingrove students. We are geared towards bringing our community together through passionate speakers and an engaging atmosphere. This is done for you to spark conversations and to broaden your perspectives. Last year, if you guys recall, our theme was perseverance. But before we get there, how many of you have been impacted by a positive human connection? This could be through your career, through friends and family, or even through a relationship. Great, great, great. So, as I was saying before, our theme last year was perseverance. So, we had 3 wonderful guest speakers who came last year, and 2 student speakers who also shared their talks. The main point that I took from it was, no matter where you are in life, if you set a goal towards something, you'll reach it. Now, this year, when I was choosing our theme, I was thinking, what's the next step after you persevere? After you've done everything you can, what do you do? And I realized there's a limit you have when you persevere. There's a limit for how far you can go because you set a goal for yourself. So I realized through human connections, we're able to go farther than we ever thought. For example, let's say you're at job A for your career. You tried really hard to get there. You perfected your resume. You think, oh, I'm the best person for this job. And you get the job. That's great. But whenever you're at a job, you always see better jobs along the way. You see job B and you think, wow, my resume is not good enough. Oh, I'm not the best person for this job. But you're telling your coworker about it, and your coworker says, you know what? You can do it, Jacob. If you just apply, your resume will go through and you'll get the job. Or maybe your coworker tells you, I know someone at that job. I can get you there through a connection. Not only can you benefit off human connections through your career, but also through friends, families, and relationships. Having an independent life is great. I like to be independent. I like to do everything by myself. But sometimes I reach that limit where I don't think I can do even better. You need that community around you of friends and family that can help build you up. They'll always be there for you to tell you, you know what, Jacob, you can do it. You can surpass what you think you can do. You can ace that test. You can do great on that assignment. So that's why this year I decided our theme should be the power of human connections. So our next part of my intro is our 3 guest speakers. We're so happy to have Mark Cueto, who is an MCI alumni, Miss Hassan, who is a TDSB John G teacher and a digital creator. You see a couple of cheers over there. And we also have Roger Caesar, who's a professional speaker and a proud business owner. You'll hear more about them later from the vice presidents, Nadia Safi and Harry Patel. Not only do we have guest speakers, but we also have student speakers from Martingrove. These speakers range from grade 10 to grade 12, and I'll tell you exactly who they are. So our first student speaker is Roger Barrett. He's a grade 12 student, and his talk will focus on more of the career aspect, how he as an 18-year-old has gone so far in his career. After Raja, we'll have Mahmoud Ahmed, who's a grade 10 student. Couple cheers up here at the front row for Mahmoud. So his talk will focus more about how coaches have an impact on your life and why they're vital. Our next student speaker will be Mira Seth in grade 11. Mira's talk will focus on authentic relationships, and once again, we have a crowd here for Mira. After Mira, our final student speaker will be Jenna Eshesh, and she will be talking about how human connections have made a personal impact on her life. I love the support that I'm seeing. It's great. So, before we get started, I want all you to know, your cell phones, please power them off or take your ringer off. This is out of respect for our speakers and our student speakers. There will also be a recording available, and there's also a live stream happening right now on the Martingrove MBC YouTube account. So let me run you through our itinerary before we get started. So right now, we are doing our introduction by me. Next, we'll have Roger Barrett, who is our student speaker. Then we'll have Mark Cueto, who will come and give his speech, his talk. Our next speaker will be a student speaker, Mahmoud Ahmed, who will share his talk about coaches. Then we'll have a quick intermission. It'll be about 10 to 15 minutes. You guys can go get our refreshments from outside, take some pictures at the photo booth, and talk to our speakers as well. After our intermission, we'll have Mira Seth, who will come and give her talk. And then after her, we'll have Ms. Hassan, who will come and give her talk as well. After Ms. Hassan, we'll have Jenna. Then we'll have Roger Caesar. And then a final conclusion by me. So our next student speaker is Roger Barrett. Roger Barrett, I would say he's one of my closest friends. One main thing I like about him, not only is he has a great friendship with me, but he also has taught me a lot about human connections. Through my own career, he's taught me, Jacob, you know what? Message that person, and maybe you could go further in your career that you're trying to set up. And it's meant a lot to me as a person and as I go through my career. So I'd like to welcome Roger to the stage.
Hello, everyone. First and foremost, I wanted to give a warm welcome to all the parents, teachers, students, and siblings that have come to show support for this year's TEDx event at Martingrove. Good afternoon. My name is Roger Barrett. I'm a senior student at Martingrove Collegiate Institute, where we are today. Beyond these halls, I am a freelance creative that works in the music industry. I frequently collaborate with artists, artist managers, and A&Rs who work for some record labels such as Interscope Records, Geffen Records, Empire Records, and more. I create album cover art, music videos, artist merchandise, and most importantly, stage visuals. My work has been seen by millions of eyes and throughout many different countries. Stages in places such as Paris, Milan, Germany, Paris, said that already, and even right here in Canada. But how did I, a high school student, come to get these opportunities that are normally taken by a professional? The secret is simple. I reached out. I made the first move to present my ideas and to share my creativity, which has opened a number of doors and opportunities for me. Today, I'm here to talk about the importance of taking that first step and how taking the initiative in your own networks can unlock doors and open pathways for all of you. Especially as many of us are entering universities, which is a life-changing time where if we make connections, it will benefit our careers greatly. In any career, especially the music industry, that first initial connection can quite literally set the stage for what's to come. Reaching out to someone in any industry, though, may be daunting. However, it's a necessary step in starting your journey and making human connections. This was definitely the case for me. And one of my first major breakthrough moments came from when I decided to reach out to a fellow videographer that was touring with my favorite artists. His name was Roscoe. And at the time, he had no idea who I was. And to him, I had no connection to him. However, I believed that I had value and that I brought something to the table. So I wrote him a message. I went out on a whim and pitched myself to him, including various things that I could bring to him and the team. And then I went to bed. The next morning, to my surprise, I woke up from a message from him. He was interested. He wanted to learn more and potentially pursue a business opportunity. I was surprised. I didn't even think he was going to view my message, let alone respond. Me and Roscoe have developed a better relationship over the past 2 years, where we work on various different projects together and other creative endeavors. We spent almost every day on the phone, bouncing ideas and talking about different creative ideas. To this day, me and Roscoe are still friends. Inevitably, this led to me getting closer to my favorite artists, as well as the managers and other important figures. As time went on, we all created pieces and projects that are unforgettable. From merchandise to websites to cover arts, we did it all. This specific example has taught me an unforgettable lesson. Never hesitate to reach out. Had I not reached out and chose to stay silent, none of this would have happened. None of those visuals that you just saw would have happened. This brings me to my next point. What can we take away from my story? Well, as I said before, many of us are moving into university, which is a very crucial point. And I believe that it is crucial for every high school student to not only develop confidence skills, but to develop their networking skills. Now, although building confidence is very important and plays a big part, I think that there's something that plays an even bigger role. I have a question for all of you. If the CEO at a company that you've been trying to get hired at gave you an opportunity to send him an email and pitch yourself to him, but he only gave you 10 minutes, would you be able to do it? Would you be able to list your values and traits that make you a good team member in under 10 minutes? What about 5 minutes? What about 30 seconds? The point I'm trying to make here is that a lot of us don't exactly know what we're good at. Sure, we may have somewhat of an idea, and we may have skills and values, but we don't know how to put them together and present them when it's necessary. I think it's critical that all the students in this room and beyond learn how to deliver their values in a short and concise pitch. This, coupled with confidence to go up to somebody and start a conversation, I believe will open many doors for lots of people. All things considered, the experiences that I've shared can teach us all a lesson. Never underestimate the impact of reaching out. You never know who can open what door for you. So whether it be an email, a message, a handshake, a DM, or even just a greeting, reach out. I encourage you all to reach out. And when you do, be ready to show them that it's not just who you are, but who you have the potential to become. Thank you very much.
Thank you for that amazing talk, Raja. Hello, my name is Nadia Safi, and this year I'm one of the 2 presidents of TEDx Youth at MCI. Today I'm going to introduce our very first guest speaker, Mark Cueto. Mark Cueto is an MCI alumni. He's in his 3rd year of UFT as a student and a creative writer. Mark is also an interviewer and aims to inspire others through his poetry and storytelling. Please welcome Mark Cueto on stage.
How are you guys today? I can't really see a lot of people. I'm just gonna take a look at who's here. Can I get a hi from the back? Come on, a little louder than that. From the back? From the middle section? And from the front? You guys were loud. Okay, so during my time here at MCI, whenever we would have like basketball games or anything like that, we would always do like MCI. So I just want to do that, relive that a little bit right now. So when I say MC, you say I. MC, 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 MC. Do I have my clicker for the presentation? I'm so sorry. Okay, while we're waiting for that. My name is Mark Cueto, and this is my TED Talk, 8 Billion Reasons to Be a Good Listener. Thank you, Jacob. Everyone say, what's up, Jacob? All right. So the last time I took this stage for TEDx, I was actually a student speaker here. Here's what's going to happen right now. I'm going to show you guys a photo on the next slide. Try your best not to laugh too hard or roast me too hard. Oh. Why are you guys laughing, bro? So this was me in 2019. I think I was talking about dogs and phone addictions or something, about how phones have us on a leash. And as you can see, the fade was not fading at all. There's no blend in the haircut at all. I look like a box head, I'm not gonna lie to you. But for today, it's a little bit different. Shout out to my barber, Rafa, if he's listening to this. Today, I'm gonna be talking about listening. First off, I wanna ask you guys a question. What is your dream in life? And feel free to shout it out. What do you guys wanna do when you're older? After university? Doctor, what else? What else? Keep it coming. Teacher, what else? Come on. Lawyer. Louder. One more. Neurology, we have lawyers, we have teachers. Any writers in here? Any artists? Science? Engineers? Right. So for myself, during my time at Martingrove, that was a bulk of what I was trying to figure out. I came into this school in grade 9 thinking I was going to be an NBA player until I realized I was Filipino, and we don't really grow that tall. I'm pretty tall for your average Filipino. It's like 5'7", I'm at 5'11", but that was not in the books for me. But then I met my English teacher. His name is Mr. Ali. I don't think he teaches here anymore, but Mr. Ali was a prominent figure in my life. I had written a poem for class about Harambe. Do you guys know Harambe? Are you guys young? You guys know Harambe the gorilla? Rest in peace, man. R.I.P. R.I.P. Harambe. I wrote a poem about Harambe in class, and then another poem for the future generations, like Prince E.A. And my teacher, Mr. Ali, he saw potential in me. Shout out to all the teachers that, believe in you, give you that encouragement. Shout out Ms. Hassan. I know she's a grade 6 teacher as well. They were making fun of me about how I was stalking the other guest speakers a while ago. I don't stalk them, but I just did scroll through their page. And Ms. Hassan has been doing a lot of great work. In this school, I was fortunate enough to have teachers like Mr. Ali, Ms. Keen, Ms. Feller. I don't know if they're here, but shout out to them. Ms. Chisti, Mr. Zivko. And all these teachers played a huge part in my development as a writer. So I entered the poetry contest, and I'm going to show you guys what's in this bag soon. But I entered the poetry contest, and this was actually my first poetry book. So this was where it all started. I remember finding this, and I was like, yeah, I'm not going to dribble a basketball as seriously anymore. I fell in love with writing. I found my own voice. And from there, do we have any gym bros in here? Anyone who yeah? Yeah, flex it. Flex it, bro. Let's go. People who go to the gym. Now imagine all that energy you exert into going to the gym, but instead you do it for writing. So in my 4 years at Martingrove, well, 3 years because of pandemic, I have written all these poetry books, like stacks on stacks. I remember putting a rule on myself. You can't write the same metaphor twice. You got to write 3 poems today, or else you can't eat dinner. Going really intense with it, like David Goggins, but we're writing, I guess. From grade 9 to grade 10 to grade 11, even during basketball games, on the way back from the basketball games, I was writing about whatever, just to get my reps in. And the goal was to be the best writer I could be, to find my voice, to pursue that dream, to chase that dream. Hold on, guys. I need water. To chase that dream. And I was trying to be like Shakespeare, I guess. I was writing poems on poems, doing poetry slams, really pursuing this dream. And I had thought that during my time in Martingrove, this was going to be it. This is what I was going to do for the rest of my life. But then the pandemic came, and you weren't performing anymore. And during the pandemic, I had realized that maybe these dreams are going to take a different route. Pursuing this writing thing to impress people with all the bars, all the snaps, all the poetry stuff, all poetry sounds that people make. Pursuing that, I realized it wasn't big enough of a dream, because I realized that there are 8 billion people on this world with voices, and my voice wasn't the only one that mattered. And as I was scrolling on Instagram during the pandemic, I saw this post. It said, "People suffering don't care about your success." People suffering don't care about your success. I actually recently visited one of my friends who's in the hospital right now, and it's the NBA playoffs, NHL playoffs as well, and I was just asking him, like, are you keeping up with any of the things going on? And he was just telling me, like, no, not really. I'm just trying to get better. I don't really care about what's going on in the NBA world. I don't really care about what's going on in the sports world, what's going on social media in general. I'm just trying to get better. Who here has best friends? You guys have a best friend? Yeah. Can you shout out your best friend's name real quick? some of you guys might have broken your friendships, like the people beside you. I'm not your best friend. We all have best friends. Now imagine, I want you guys to picture this with me. Imagine your best friend calls you. Your best friend calls you and they're going through a lot, like, hey, blah, 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 blah. I'm struggling with this, I'm struggling with that. And you go, oh, I hear you, but I'm getting rich, or, oh, I hear you. Or let's say, hey, best friend, I failed the test and I feel down about it. And you say, oh, I hear you. I passed that test, blah, blah, blah. Instead of listening to them, how insensitive is that? Now, I'm not trying to make you guys the savior of your best friends or anything like that. But the point I'm trying to make, back to this, that people suffering don't care about your success. What they need you to do in that scenario, in that example, is to listen, to be present, to be available for them. And so, keeping that in mind with all this, and remembering the 8 billion people on this world, I started a new project. To all the teachers, yes, thank you guys for encouraging me in writing, but this was actually the last book I finished in grade 12. And I realized, maybe instead of speaking, what I really need to do is to listen. And so I'm just gonna show you guys the project I was working on. Would you like to leave a message, sir?
Leave an anonymous message for anyone in your life.
Yes, sir.
Oh, that's good. I'll do it.
I'll give you a moment to think.
Yeah, let me think about it.
Sure.
That's a cool idea. You guys go to Ryerson?
I go to U of T actually.
Oh, it's
we
for
we walk
school?
U of T. No, just for myself,
Oh, it's
sir.
for yourself? I like it. I like
Yes,
it. That's
sir.
a really cool idea.
Thank you, sir.
I actually want to give you a good one, sir. Yeah. Okay, do I name them by name?
You could. You could.
Okay. Jelaine, it wasn't your fault, it was mine.
I'm gonna leave a message for my mom. I miss her so much. She's back home. So I'm gonna fight with her that she's gonna come to me. Hopefully, that's my message.
Back home from where?
Iran.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So I miss her. So hopefully, I'm gonna see her soon.
Can you repeat your message for the international students? So sorry about that.
Yeah, especially yesterday I read a post on the Facebook that was a Nepali student. उसने बोला कि मैं यहाँ पर बहुत परेशान हूँ, मुझे जॉब नहीं मिल रही 6 महीने से, मेरा कुछ नहीं हो रहा है, मेरा रेंट नहीं निकल रहा, मुझे दिक्कत हो रही है, ये हो रहा वो हो रहा. मैं उसको बोलना चाहता हूँ और जितने भी मेरे भाई और बहन जितने भी लोग आए हैं इंटरनेशनल स्टूडेंट कि भाई देखो एवरीथिंग गोना बी ऑल राइट, बी पेशेंट, बी ट्राई हार्ड. आप इतना कुछ लगा के आए हैं तो ऐसा नहीं है कि कुछ तो होगा ही यार. हिम्मत रखो, देखो हिम्मत मर्दा मदद खुदा. Okay, that's thank you, man.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your time, sir.
This is to my ex. You need help, and I hope you find help because you're just gonna continue hurting people if you bring all your problems into your relationships.
I guess this is for like my younger self. Don't underestimate yourself. You're capable of a lot more than you think. You never thought you'd be here at TMU, finishing your degree, and here you are. So give yourself grace and expect the best of yourself.
Estoy muy feliz de estar acá en Canadá, viendo este parque tan hermoso. Es maravilloso tener una vida así.
Thank you.
Maging masaya kahit maraming problema. Be happy dahil di natin alam ang buhay dito sa mundo. Maaaring ngayon okay, bukas di natin alam. Okay?
Give me 1 second. Somebody wants something to do with me. It's my daughter. She sided with her mom, and I'm a bad man. I'm not a bad man. She just doesn't want to get to know me.
I'm sorry.
Sorry to hear that, sir.
What is what it is. That breaks my heart every day of my life.
And so I dropped the pen, I picked up the mic. In between my classes at U of T, I started going around the streets of Toronto. And you know how Toronto is, we have a melting pot of different ethnicities, different races, different walks of life. And I came to realize that although with poetry, we can say all these things about speaking for people who have no voices, being the voice for the people who can't speak, I realized that perhaps what they need is not another speaker to speak on behalf of them, but another listener to hear from themselves, to get these stories from all these different walks of life and to put them out. And on top of that, on top of the street interviews, people send me anonymous messages, anonymous letters online, some notes to themselves. I have so many great people around me, but I always feel alone. It hurts when I have exciting news and you're not at home. To whoever, I haven't cried in years, but I think if someone genuinely hugged me and let me know things would be okay, I would. For their family, I wish I could tell my dad that he doesn't need to mask his emotions, but I'd be a hypocrite because I do just that. And so forth and so on. While this is just the first few years of doing this project, I came to realize that, man, I'm so small. Like, I'm like, when you're in high school, I guess you think you're the hot shot. You see yourself, everybody knows you, you know everybody. Even in middle school, you know, you grew up with the same people. But coming into the University of Toronto, nobody knowing me not knowing anybody, I was filled by this word. It's called sonder. And sonder is the realization that each random passerby is living a life as vivid and complex as your own, populated with their own ambitions, friends, routines, worries, and inherited craziness. An epic story that continues invisibly around you like an anthill, sprawling deep underground with elaborate passageways to thousands of other lives that you'll never know existed, in which you might appear only once, as an extra sipping coffee in the background, as a blur of traffic passing on the highway, as a lighted window at dusk. We're not really just the main characters here. If you guys play video games, you know, I think when we're children, we can assume that life is just that way, that we're the ones controlling and we're like the main character of this world. Everybody else are NPCs or extras in the game. But I want you guys to do this with me. Take a look around you right now, everybody in this room. Don't be creepy, don't be squinting. Like, just look around you, look at the people at the back, and see all these different people in your lives. They have lives just as complex as yours. They come from homes that we don't know what's going on in their homes or their workplaces or their classes. We don't know what they're facing. They have opinions and views and beliefs that we don't know. While on surface, it can seem like they're just extras. They're really much more than that. And since the theme today was the power of human connections, I hope we can foster this mentality to be a good listener. I want to leave you guys with one final story before I conclude. I didn't draw this, by the way. So once upon a time, there was a boy and his mother. The boy was really not talented. I don't want to, he was trash at acting, okay? He wasn't good at acting at all. Horrible drama class, he was still, he was emotionless, he didn't know how to use his body language. And she had thought to herself, hey, surely my son will never enter a school play or audition for the school play, especially not the one coming up next week. But guess what happened, guys? He auditioned. The boy auditioned, knowing that he had no skills at all, no talent in this. And at this, the mother was getting anxious for her child. Like, she was, any parents out here? Like, maybe your kid wasn't that good at, parents, bro. Maybe your kid wasn't good at soccer. You went to their soccer game and you're just trying your best to support your children. They got 2 left feet. They don't know where they're running or whatever, but you try your best to be supportive. And so the boy told his mother, Mom, I'm going to audition for the school play. And the mom was shook, but she said, okay, honey, let me know how it goes. And so the audition happens. The weeks go by, and while the boy was getting more excited to see the final results, the mother was getting more anxious until the day finally came when the final cast list was posted. And the boy, he looked at it and he smiled and he was excited. So excited, in fact, that he actually ran home. And the mother, she was peering out the living room window because she was that nervous, anticipating this moment to come to hear her son say, "Mom, I didn't make it," and cry in her arms. But the boy instead was excited. He runs home, knocks on the door, and the mother, before she opens it, she takes a deep breath, opens the door. "Honey, how did it go?" And the boy, with a big smile on his face, he says, "I'm so happy, Mom. I get to clap and cheer." In a society that encourages being the main character, in a society that encourages being in the main role, in the spotlight, to take the stage and have all the attention to ourselves, may we take the same mentality of the boy to be just as happy, to clap and cheer and encourage the people around us. And perhaps it's not a matter of shying away from success. Like, I still write bars here and there. Teachers, engineers, scientists, neurologists, athletes, artists, whatever it is that you guys want to be. Perhaps it's not to shy away from success, but to redefine our definition of what success is. To see success as not just a fruit that one person finds pleasure in, but instead a garden that the collective can benefit from. To build a garden for those around you. To listen, to be present. The quote goes, people are not just main characters, people are not just side characters in your life, but they are main characters in their own. And so, in pursuing our dreams, in pursuing our goals, I encourage you guys to work at it with all your heart, to be diligent, to grind, to be disciplined with it. In pursuing finding your own voice, go at it with all your heart. But my hope is that you never cuff your ears to the voices of the people in your life, and in writing your own stories, in writing our own stories, may we never lose sight of all the stories being written all around us. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Hello, my name is Hari Patel, and this year I'm the second Vice President of TEDx Youth at Martingrove. Our second student speaker today is Mahmoud Ahmed, who is a student athlete here at MCI with a passion for talking about key problems within our community and trying to assist people within the community. Mahmoud has an interest in working with younger athletes to bring the best out of them so they could contribute on and off the court. Please welcome Mahmoud.
Settle down. In a world where relationships and connections shape who we are, think of them as mentors maybe. Who gives us connections? Who shape who we are? Our mentors. Now, raise your hand if you think you may have a mentor. Now, those who didn't raise your hand, you may be a little bit confused. What is a mentor? Somebody who guides you, somebody who shapes who you are. Think of them as construction workers. Every single block and connection they make with you shape who you are in the future. We have many, many mentors in our lives. Think of them. Teachers, friends, coaches. There's so many of them. So there is a study that they made. Are connections really important? Well, it showed that 80% of Ivy students had good connections with their parents. Now, here I am today. I brought up a specific mentor, one who you would never think of once you go overshadowed. There are coaches. I'm specifically talking athlete sports coaches. Hi, my name is Mahmoud Ahmed to be exact. And I'm a student athlete. I play volleyball, and I spent countless years of my life playing this sport. I put so many hours into it. And a question I've asked many people who've watched sports are, who do you think the most important people are? Would you say they're the players? And that's most the answer. Every single person says that the players are the ones who define the outcome of the game. But I find that completely false. You know, they may affect the game, they may score the game winner. But why does that really matter in the end if the coach is never given credit? Coaches who make plays on a backboard are 1 in a dozen. Yes, that is true. And those connections aren't only in the game. They don't only affect us in the game, but they affect us overall. And here I am to talk about my connections with 2, actually. But let's get into the first one. Now, mentors guide who we are in our lives. We understand that, but not all mentors are good. And this one I had wasn't a good coach. Now, I remember I wanted to play volleyball. So I went, and volleyball's expensive. So I decided, hey, I'm going to go work all summer. I'm going to go make the money. And I did. I went to go work. I worked extra hours. I went to the gym afterwards, and I'd get home very, very late. My mom would barely see me, and she's in the crowd. You can ask her. Now, after all that dedication, I was so ready. I was so excited to go. I was like, yes, it's finally my time. I can go play. But I go to the tryouts. I went to 3 tryouts, and I got 2 offers. But there was one team I specifically wanted to play for. Now, those 2 offers, they were only 48-hour offers, and the next tryout was 3 days away. I decided, and it may be my own fault for my ego, but I decided that I'm going to decline those 2 offers, and I'm going to go for what I should really go for. Now, everybody told me I had a good shot at making it. I could really do it. And all the coaches and players loved me. So I was thinking, yes, this is my chance. I've finally done it. And at the end of that final tryout, it wasn't what I was expecting. It wasn't a yes. It was no. No? What do you mean no? I didn't do bad. And they told me I didn't do bad. They told me I did really, really good. But at that final tryout, there was a player who I wasn't expecting. He played the exact same position as me, and he's never been to any of the tryouts before. Now, that player, he's 6'4". That coach told me, sorry, man, he didn't say you're bad. He didn't say anything like that. He said, you're not tall enough. Now, not tall enough, I can't affect that. And you said I did really good. He said, you could teach skill. You can't teach height. What does that mean? So throughout that, I was really mad. I had this really, really bad connection associating coaches with height, and that all they really wanted was somebody who's really tall and could do all that. So I got mad, and I decided, hey, I'm going to practice on my own. And sure, I got better. I played on my own, and I played with people, and I got better, yeah. But the things they teach, the values they teach in our lives, I wasn't learning any of that. I was growing physically, but I wasn't growing mentally. So here I am to ask again, who are the most important people in our lives? And I would argue one of them was my coach. He really shaped who I was. And when I first met him, I didn't like him. That connection I made previously with the other coach made me think, hey, all these guys, they're lame, they suck. I don't like any of them. But that's not in all honesty. Like, at first I didn't like him, but he really put in an effort to connect with us. He made an effort to connect with me. Why did he connect with me? I failed at some point. And through that, I kept associating failing with failure. Now, failing isn't failure. If you're a failure, you're somebody who failed and decided to never get back up. Now, through that whole season, I believed, hey, I failed once, that makes me a failure. But he taught me I wasn't a failure, and I remember the exact time he taught me I wasn't a failure. So if you watch some of the times, or some of the games in my earlier season, you'd see every time I failed or messed up, I would take my hands, put them on my head, and I'd run around, and I'd say things that aren't appropriate for this TED Talk. And through that, it wasn't a bad look on me. It was a bad look on me. It wasn't a good look. And I was getting frustrated over little small things, which I could have learned from. And the lesson he taught me, he didn't teach me it through words. He taught me it through his actions. And the way he taught me was hilarious. I remember at a tournament sulking one time because I made a really bad play. Now, he let me cool off, and the next game, instead of teaching me anything or telling me anything, he benched me. And I was mad. Why'd I get benched? Oh, I failed again. That makes me a failure. But no, the next game, he didn't bench me again. I looked at him. He wrote my number on the paper. Number 15. Why am I on there? I failed at one point. That hasn't changed anything. He looked at me, smiled, and said, give him hell. Now, through that, after the game, I learned. What did I learn? That you can fail. Failing's okay. Failure is a part of the game, and failing is a part of life. I learned it's okay to learn. You can learn from failure. You want to fail. Every time you do something, you at least want to fail once. And why did I learn that? I learned it because my coach spent the time out of his day to connect with me. And I know many coaches don't do that, but the coaches who do are worth $1 million. And he don't only teach me that. They taught me so many other lessons. They taught me discipline. They taught me, it's okay to fail. You have to be disciplined. You have to do the hard things before you can do the fun things. And I'm going to be honest. If it wasn't for those lessons that he gave me, I wouldn't be up here today. If I'm going to be honest, I'm nervous to be up here because I see so many other people I know and so many of my friends who are there in the front crowd here to support me. And if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't sign up. I would stay home right now, and I'd be playing a video game probably. So then I ask you again, you guys have mentors, right? Raise your hand if you do. And those of you who didn't raise your hands, you guys are liars. It's not even funny how many things these coaches could teach me or have taught me. Before this, I used so many of those lessons and completely denied them. I didn't ever use them. But when I learned them, my life has drastically improved. If you looked at my math mark, oh, dear God, it's horrendous. But I spent my time failing with my mom. I love you, Mom. With my mom. And sure, my math mark still wasn't great, but it's improved from the last year. So before I, end off this TED Talk, I want to end you guys with a quote. Coaches who can outline plays on a backboard are 1 in a dozen. Those who could get into players' hearts win championships. Now, I want to thank you guys all for listening. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you guys for supporting me. And thank the man who taught me, Mr. Reardon, in the back over there, for letting me be up here. Thank you for listening.
Okay, so how are you guys enjoying the night so far? Great. So I hate to say we're taking a quick break, 10 to 15 minutes. Feel free to get refreshments from outside, talk to our speakers, talk to our student speakers. See you guys in 10. Okay, if I could get everyone's attention. Okay, so we will be starting right now. Great, okay. So our next student speaker will be Mira Seth. If you guys can tell. Yep. Before she comes up, I just wanted to make it clear, I do have 2 sweaters, a black and white one. A big shout out to Aiden Schrader, who did make this logo that we have on the front and on the back. So a big thanks to Aiden for that, it's much appreciated. Now we'll continue on with our event. We'll have Mira coming up next.
Authentic relationships. There's something that me and many others wish for. It can mean many things to many people, but in the end, I think that we can all agree that in the end, everyone's together, no matter the ups and downs. This can mean something to friends, family, or even your significant other. So what exactly are authentic relationships? To me, this can mean being genuine with one another. There's trust, respect, reciprocal support. You communicate even when it's hard, and there's vulnerability. There are those times when you have those deep and serious conversations with each other where you try to understand each other. All parties contribute so that everyone can make sure that they feel seen and heard. But what doesn't make an authentic relationship? These red flags can include feeling constant negativity, disrespect, feeling like your boundaries are being crossed, and a feeling one-sided. Now that we have some sort of understanding of authentic relationships, how can we exactly build those genuine connections? I'm here to provide you some insight, and I understand that it can be difficult, but I understand. I've been there before. It's been pretty difficult for me in middle school. And I'm gonna say a lot of bad things about myself when I was in middle school. The person that I am right now, complete opposite. I was pretty quiet in middle school. I thought I wasn't cool enough, so I would try to play soccer with the others to fit in. And right now, it's not the sport I'm best at. I kind of suck, but it's okay. I brought some of my toys to school so that I could play with others, but I didn't end up getting them back. I was the friend who would walk on the grass beside the sidewalk. I wasn't able to put my trust on others because I felt that we didn't see each other that way. We didn't have that sort of relationship. Even when I thought that we were friends, it turns out I was the only one who thought that. Like I mentioned, it being one-sided. I never felt like I could be myself around others, and when I tried to fake it, it did work for a while, but I felt that guilt for myself, and it was only temporary. That was until, in grade 8, I had met a big group of friends that I felt like I could be myself around. During the pandemic, we would always talk to each other, no matter what was going on. We'd probably sleep really late. We would play on Roblox with each other. So that was really fun. So I felt like I could be myself. I could say anything. I felt closer. I actually felt like it wasn't one-sided for once. But before that, when I wouldn't feel included in everything, I always felt left out. At some point, I did tell my parents that I wasn't feeling very liked or heard or understood or seen. And of course, me and my parents had that authentic relationship, but in the school, nothing was really going for me. So, I'm here to tell you that it is really, really important to be yourself, to embrace your passions, your interests, what you want to learn, your beliefs, etc. It allows the connection to be built on honesty and being genuine with one another. Everyone embraces each other, and that is what increases that compatibility. It allows individual values to be embraced, and that you won't have to feel that guilt for yourself, and nothing would be hidden from one another. Another thing, when a friend respects you, you have to make sure that you value that friendship. When I talk about authentic relationships, I think of my friend that I've been friends with since we were 4 years old. I think she's right there. She's probably shy. Yeah, so yeah, 4 years, so that's like 13 years because we're like 17 now, crazy. And of course, living in the same area and learning in the same building was a huge factor contributing to our friendship. But over time, we went to different classes, so we had to make time for each other over the years. During that friendship, we did have conflicts with each other. But that's also what's important when it comes to an authentic relationship. You are able to communicate with one another. It's like a test to see whether or not you will leave or stay and discuss it with the other person. In the end, everyone's happy. You have learned how to communicate with each other, see the tactics and strategies to go over the problem, and you have become a little bit more vulnerable with each other. So, overall, building authentic relationships is really good for the soul, the mind, and the heart. You must be able to recognize when a good friendship is coming your way and when you should be able to evaluate. Now, even me and my friend of 13 years, we go to different schools. But I have kind of used that, and I've made so many great friends here at this school. But just because they are giving you that special treatment does not mean that you can't give it back. That authentic relationship, like I said, is contributed from both ways so that everyone feels seen and heard. Now, I don't feel like the friend that always feels left out, walks on the grass beside the sidewalk. So it's important to be proud of what you believe in, your passions, what you want to learn, and also make sure to value that relationship. Because, it could go for over a decade, even to university, even when you're old and just sitting together, talking all wrinkly and just talking about what happened in middle school. Being yourself is really important because you yourself are important. Thank you.
Thank you, Mira. Our second guest speaker is Zahra Hassan. Zahra Hassan is a TSP teacher at John G. Middle School and a TikTok sensation. She will share the importance of her own personal experiences as a way of connecting with her students, a connection they seek out and that moves them to their own empowerment and growth. Please welcome Ms. Zahra Hassan.
Hello. Okay. All right, my mic is working. Hello, everyone. My name is Zahra Hassan, and I am an educator. And I will be talking about unveiling humanity, the transformative power of genuine connections today. Imagine a world where every interaction, every relationship is infused with authenticity and empathy. A world where classrooms aren't just places of learning, but a sanctuary for connection and understanding. This is the world I strive to create every single day. Greetings, my name is Zahra Hassan, and I am honored to stand in front of all of you today as a Black, Muslim, Somali educator. My journey in education has been defined by a pursuit of human connection, a journey that has taught me the true power of authenticity and community building. In a world that often feels fragmented and isolating, the need for genuine connection has never been greater, especially in our educational institutions. Building relationships and creating safe spaces for students isn't just a goal of mine. It's a moral imperative. It's about fostering environments where every individual feels valued, respected, and heard to reach their fullest potential. And as an educator, I've become to understand that is the foundation of effective teaching. And learning lies in cultivating the relationships with our students. And these relationships aren't just transactional. They are the bedrock upon the academic success of our students, but also their social and emotional well-being. In my classroom, I strive to create this environment every single day where not only my students are intellectually challenged, but they are emotionally supported. It's about recognizing the humanity in each and every one of my students and acknowledging their unique backgrounds, their perspectives, and creating a space where they can be their authentic selves. The commitment to authenticity and inclusivity it's not just a professional duty for me. It's deeply held belief that every student deserves to feel seen, heard, and valued. And through this is when I truly believe real learning happens. When students feel a sense of belonging, that is when they feel that they can do their best and they engage the most with the academic material and also one another. Now, let me take you back to a moment that forever changed my life in education. It was a story of a student of mine, and let's call this student Alex. Alex was a bright young boy, but he had come from a very complicated life. And as a result, he often acted out in class. But with me, what I decided to do is not reprimand Alex. I decided to lean in with compassion, empathy, and curiosity. And at that moment, I decided to understand and ask Alex what was going on. Why was Alex the way that he was? And I started to ask the question and look into Alex and understand, who are you, Alex? What brings you into my classroom? And how can I help? And in doing so, I witnessed a remarkable transformation, and not just in Alex's behavior, but in his entire outlook on life. And as Dr. Bruce Perry, a renowned expert on childhood trauma, once said, children are not resilient. He said, they are malleable. Their development is shaped by the experiences. And this quote underscores the profound impact that adverse experiences can have on children's development and emphasizes the importance of nurturing environments in fostering resilience in children. Alex's experience may have left scars, but doing so, they provided also opportunities for growth and transformation. It was through our genuine connection and understanding that this spark began to sparkle for him. And by creating a safe and supporting environment where Alex felt valued, seen, and heard, we helped him navigate the challenges he faced to unlock his full potential. In the weeks that followed, I watched Alex blossom in front of my very eyes. He was no longer the disruptive student at the back of the class, but he was an engaging member in our classroom community. He would ask me, Mrs. San, I need help with work, and I'll be right there. The reason why? Because I took the time to understand where Alex was coming from. He eagerly would come into class confessions, and he would be confident. He took ownership when he made mistakes, and he helped and earned what he did when he needed to learn that he had to have the consequence. Alex's transformation was nothing short of miraculous, but what truly amazed me was not just the change in his behavior, but the actual change in his demeanor. The newfound sense of purpose and possibility that radiated within him. And by acknowledging and honoring Alex's humanity, we had unlocked a door of endless potential. Alex's story told me a very valuable lesson. Behind every behavior, every action, lies a story waiting to be told. And when we take the time, and I really mean when we truly take the time to empathize and to connect, we not only transform individuals, but we transform lives. It's a lesson that has shaped my approach to education ever since. A reminder that the profound impact that genuine connection and understanding can have on the lives we serve. I'll admit it, Embracing authenticity was a leap of faith for me. In 2021, that was the first time I had my first ever long-term occasional teaching position. And I had a group of students who were grade 7 and 8. And at that time, we were on virtual class. So when we were in the virtual class, I had students always tell me, Mrs. San, your outfits are so nice, or Mrs. San, I really like the shoes that you were wearing. And these kindness gestures happen daily, and they would also comment on our classroom community that we were both, all of us, we were filling. And one day, it was a Friday afternoon, I had a student come on the Google chat, and she just typed in, Mrs. San, you need to start a TikTok. And at that moment, I was very confused because I was like, I don't remember a world where I wanted to see my teachers outside of the classroom. But the fact that you guys want to see me, your teacher, online was dumbfounding. And then all of a sudden, all the students ended up turning on their cameras, and they echoed the same remarks. Mrs. San, you need to start a TikTok. We love your outfits. We need to know where you shop. In that moment, I realized my students didn't just want a connection into my personal life, but they wanted to bridge the gap between classroom and the digital world that they were all in now. Despite my initial reservations, I chose to honor their requests. I created a TikTok account, and I began sharing snippets of not my outfits, but also my educational journey as a new teacher teaching in the pandemic. And what started as a very simple gesture to my students in connecting ended up turning into something miraculous. We have built something extraordinary. As I shared myself with the digital world, with my authenticity, we have created a community of people. And these were all comments on the first video that I ever created. So in that moment, what I realized is everyone in the world wants to be seen, they want to be heard, and they want to be valued. This experience taught me a very valuable lesson about the power of authenticity and vulnerability. By stepping outside of my comfort zone and embracing the digital realm, I not only strengthened my relationship with my students, but also cultivated a sense of belonging, but where it permeates the classroom environment. So it's a reminder that the connection knows no boundaries, whether in person or online. Authenticity has the power to unite us, to uplift us, in ways we never thought possible. As Toni Morrison once beautifully said, if you want to fly high, you have to give up the things that weigh you down. These profound words deeply resonate with me and countless students who look just like me and who have been part of a system that has been systemically racist, prejudiced, and biased just because of our identities. It's akin to trying to soar in the educational world with weights tied down to your ankles, where your dreams are in the palm of the hands of those who teach you, and they suffocate them at times. But educators, remember, we hold the keys to unlock the chains of inequality and to create spaces where every student, and I mean every single student, feels seen, valued, heard, regardless of their identity and lived experiences. We are the architects of belonging, the orchestrators of inclusivity, and the guardians of dreams. My own journey was marked by a guidance counselor who couldn't see beyond her biases, and my educational journey now stands as a testament to what she thought I was going to be. When I was in grade 11, this guidance teacher told me that I should not apply to university and I should start as a teacher assistant. But with her doubts, I was determined to prove her wrong and emerge as a beacon of authenticity and community, not only in my classrooms, but in front of all of you today. It's a reminder that as educators, we don't just shape minds. We nurture souls. We touch hearts. And we inspire futures. And in doing so, we have the power to uplift, empower, and ignite the limitless potential within every single student. My journey as an educator has taught me that authenticity is not just a philosophy. It's a way of life. And I'm not alone. I've had the privilege of witnessing countless educators embrace their uniqueness and show up as their authentic selves every single day. From sharing personal stories or incorporating diverse perspectives into their teaching, these educators are leading by example and transforming the educational landscape one authentic connection at a time. Authenticity is the cornerstone of meaningful connection, not just between teachers and students, but also colleagues and communities as well. When we show up authentically, we create a ripple effect of trust, respect, and empathy that permeates the aspect of the learning environment. It's about fostering a culture where everyone feels valued, supported, and empowered to succeed. Authenticity isn't about just sharing your story or being yourself. It's also about fostering a culture of inclusivity and acceptance. And as educators, we have a responsibility where all students feel valued and respected regardless of their background, identity, and lived experiences. We send a powerful message to our students, a message that says, you belong here exactly as you are. And by creating that, what we tell students is, show up as yourselves, because that is the way God has made you. And it transcends societal norms and expectations, where every student now has to feel empowered to express themselves authentically and contribute their unique perspectives into our classroom communities. So in doing so, we not only enrich the educational experience for all students, but also lay the foundation for a more compassionate and equitable society. So to my fellow educators, I issue you a challenge. Embrace your uniqueness, celebrate diversity, and empower students, because you don't know how you can transform lives by sharing your stories. Together, let's create a world where authenticity is celebrated, connections are cherished, and every student feels like they belong. And as I stand before you today, I urge you to prioritize human connections, authenticity, and community building in your own lives, but also your professions. Take the time to truly understand and empathize with those around you. Be courageous, be vulnerable, and most of all, be yourselves. Because when we embrace the power of human connections, we not only transform yourselves, we also transform the world. To quote the insightful Miss Lauren Hill, education is not the filling of a pail, but the lighting of a fire. So let us ignite the flames of curiosity, passion, and empathy within ourselves and others, and the world where learning knows no bounds, and where every individual is empowered to reach their fullest potential. Together, let's create a world where authenticity is celebrated, connections are cherished, and every individual feels like they belong. And please, let's take our first step together and embrace the power of human connections. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hassan. And for our last student speaker is Jenna Eshesh, who is the student council president who enjoys in her own motivations at MCIs and sees a focus on personal growth as a key to learning to connect with her family and friends. Jenna will explore how human connections to others are intimately linked to self-confidence, self-love, and self-respect.
I love you too. So what's up, everyone? Welcome to my TED Talk. So today, I'm going to be talking to you guys about the importance of self-confidence, self-love, and self-trust, and how these attributes led to my success in discovering myself. I firmly believe that these attributes are not just key contributing factors to personal success, but also play a vital role in establishing, nurturing, and sustaining human connection. I will share my personal journey, shedding light on how these qualities have shaped my life and allowed me to contribute significantly to my community. I'm sure you've all heard so many stories of rags to riches or 0 to 100, but this one's different because, honestly, I'm not quite finished yet. The journey I will share begins in my early high school years. I was your typical introverted freshman, and I was struggling to make a friend. It took me almost 2 months into the school year to make my first friend. And honestly, everywhere I went, every single social setting I encountered, I was overwhelmed with a sense of alienation and constant discomfort. And so, one day my mom came up to me and she said, "Honestly, Jenna, I'm sick of this. I'm taking you to Egypt." And I said, "Hey, why?" Right? But you know what? I'm like, what's the worst that could happen? So my mom and I, we went to Egypt the summer after grade 9, and she wanted to see a breakthrough. She wanted to see a breakthrough in my personality, but also in my soccer career. So we land in Egypt. I come to something called a nadi, which is a club. And I make so many new friends. "Oh, who's that foreign girl? Who's that foreign girl?" I was like, "It's me, from Canada." And so I walk in, and automatically people are astounded by me. They're astounded by my skills. So honestly, you know, I'm feeling like the man right now. And so, but still, I'm so shy. I'm extremely shy. And because of my shyness, I was so afraid to make a mistake. I was afraid to give somebody a bad pass or maybe miss an open net. But honestly, my teammates didn't care about that. At the end of the day, I was just this little foreign girl from Canada who could play. And that's all that mattered. They constantly reassured me whenever I'd put my head down. They would tell me to bring it back up because they trusted me. They trusted me with the ball. And they said, "Honestly, Jenna, you should be trusting yourself." And you know, I said, "You're right." Because it was all in my head. All of my insecurities were in my head. Nobody could see them. And at the end of the day, mistakes are what make us. All humans make mistakes. And I wasn't letting down the team by making a mistake. And so I was coming back to Canada, and I had this new sense of self-confidence. I was happy. I was comfortable. And this was honestly, this trip to Egypt, I don't want to say it changed my life, but I mean, it did something for me. I wasn't afraid of conversations anymore. And so I come back to Canada, super excited to talk. All I want to do is talk. Yap, 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 just talk. But I'm still, honestly, I'm shy. But with my friends, you know, we shared our weirdness. And we said, what better way to share our weirdness through an Instagram page? And so we started an Instagram page. We're interviewing people in the school, people we know and people that we don't know. And we're interviewing them with random questions. What's your favorite color? What mall do you like to go to? And people loved it. Even though these questions were so random and so minuscule, I had people coming up to me in the hallways. Hey, Jenna, can I get an interview? I don't even know you. But sure, you could get an interview. And so this sparked like brand new confidence. Every single day I was going up a step. And it was something, honestly, it was amazing. I was on a high. And I'm like, what better way to improve myself than to do something bigger? I'm like, I'm Muslim. I see a bunch of people around me, they're Muslim. And Ramadan's around the corner. Why don't we have an iftar? And so I put this plan into action, and we made the iftar happen. And through this, I established so many new personal connections. I got to know so many people on a deeper level, and people got to know me. And with this newfound appreciation for my confidence and my sense of leadership, people started to trust me. And I said, what better way to make my confidence soar even higher, make my ego a little bit bigger, than to run for student council president? I said, what's the worst that could happen? I lose, so what? Who's gonna remember in the next year? Who's gonna remember in the next 2 years? So I took that shot. I'm like, you know what? I'm on a high right now, let's just keep it going. And so I kept it going. But honestly, this was one of the biggest challenges I've ever had in my life. Running for president was something so much harder than I imagined would happen. I faced so much criticism, so much skepticism, and so much doubtfulness in my leadership. People who didn't even know me didn't believe in me. I mean, how could they, right? They didn't know me. And so I decided to be loud. I wanted to be loud about who I was and what I was about. People love transparency. They love honesty, especially in a leader. I wanted to be relatable. But honestly, I just wanted people to, I wanted people to like me. I did what was trendy. I made a music video. It was so good. Check out Interviews AF if you want to see it. But it was incredible. People loved it. And honestly, it made me want to be a leader even more. Despite facing all of this negativity and skepticism, I said, this only makes me want to do it even more. I wanted to be a leader more than I ever could. I said, hey, this is what I'm about. I want people to know that, even if you face all this negativity, you have to remember who you are at the end of the day, regardless of what people are saying about you. Whether it's true or it's not true, you have to know who you are at the end of the day. And so through this campaign, people saw that in me. They saw that I wanted to be honest. I wanted to be authentic. And so I made so many new friends, and I found the people who truly wanted to be around me. And eventually I won. Being honest, being transparent, that's what helps you win in life. People just want somebody relatable. They want somebody approachable. And when you laugh with them and when you have conversations that aren't about the future, they're just asking them, hey, how are you? How was your day today? That's what people want to hear. And so eventually, after I won, I'm like, so now I really know who I am. I know what I'm about. And so I just want to leave you guys with a note. Every journey, especially my journey, is not without its challenges. Every single journey is going to have a bump in the way. There's no line that's going to be so straight and you're just going to go from point A to point B. When you're going from point A, you're going to hit point D before you hit point B. And that's something that you have to remember. Who are you before you think about other people's perception of yourself? Establish those connections today. Talk to people. I know what friend crushes are. If you have a friend crush, go for it. There's no harm in trying. Every single day, you have to be better than the person that you were yesterday. And so, to end off my speech, I want to let you guys know that I'm ordinary. I'm nothing extraordinary. I'm just an average person. You know, I'm standing on a stage, but it doesn't really mean anything. You can be who you want to be. If you really have the desire to achieve something, go make that connection that's going to get you there. Nobody's going to sit around and wait for you. You have to go get it. And at the end of the day, nobody really cares. Nobody cares about your insecurities. Nobody can even see them. Unless you let people know, then nobody really knows. So you just being here today is bringing you one step closer to who you can be. So take that step. Thank you.
Thank you, Jenna. Our final speaker for this evening is Roger Caesar. He's an inspirational, passionate, award-winning professional public speaker and dynamic speech coach driven to continuously help people find their voices and maximize their greatness. He dedicates his time to raising awareness around social change and diversity through social media, supporting various virtual events and organizations as a keynote speaker, and is one of the top 3 speakers in the world. Please welcome Roger Caesar.
Man, it got real quiet real fast. Can I try that again? You know, tonight what we have witnessed is true greatness. I've listened to each and every one of you who have come on this stage and have proven one after the other that greatness lies within each of you. It's funny when I look at my own self and I see where I have come in my life, it is a testament to the different people who have made those human connections to me. But each and every one of you have had similar connections within your own lives. Imagine if you were to look back into your younger selves and you think about the different people who you have engaged in and have talked to throughout your life. What did they bring to you? Some of them may have brought pain, sorrow, confusion, anger. And then there are those that have come into your life and have spread love and challenged you and given you an opportunity to strive. So allow me to take myself back to a time when I sat in the corner of my grade 6 class. I mean, when you look at me now, you would never know it. But back then, I was that kid that would sit in the far corner, way in the back, not wanting to be seen, not wanting to be heard. In fact, many times if my teacher ever reached out to me and asked me to come up and speak on any topic or read a sentence or anything of that nature, I would freeze and paralyzed, start sweating profusely. Words would come out in pieces. If you were to look at that boy back in the 6th grade, he never wanted to be on a stage like this. No, he wanted to be unseen and unheard. You know what's funny? Sometimes in life you find yourself in situations when people help you to rediscover who you can be. That was Miss Sullivan. Miss Sullivan came to our school that year, first time, from England. 6'6". Yeah. 6'6", she was athletic. And when she walked into the room, like many young kids, her beauty enchanted us. We thought for sure she was the sweetest lady in the world until she opened her mouth. When Miss Sullivan talked, you knew she meant business. When Miss Sullivan said anything, you understood that there was no clowning around. And of course, that just led me back into that far corner where I just did not want to be seen. But isn't it funny how a teacher will always point out that one student that's way in the back of the room to come up and do something? Raise your hand if you've ever had that moment. Yeah. Well, I'm pretty sure you've done it yourself. But Miss Sullivan did that to me one day. She asked me to come up and to read a passage. And of course, I sat in my corner thinking, that's not my name. But when she called me a second time and the sternness in her voice made me realize that I did have to come up and I did have to perform that passage. And once I got up there, once again, I froze. Unable to say anything. She asked me again and again to repeat, start talking, let's go, come on. Finally, the words started to come out, but they came out in pieces. Miss Sullivan said something to me in that moment that absolutely scared me. What is the matter with you? Now, back then, many teachers didn't have what we would call a filter. They just said what they wanted to say. So when Miss Sullivan said that, I backed up, I went to my corner, and I sat there, dejected, defeated, and doubting my own self. The funny thing is, Miss Sullivan was also my track coach. So when I was outside on the field, Miss Sullivan saw a completely different person. In the classroom was a quiet child that never wanted to be seen or heard, but out on the track, I was flamboyant, energetic, and was right in the front of it all. While watching this, Miss Sullivan noticed something. And her first comment was, why is it that when you are in the classroom, you remain silent, but out here, you are loud and proud? See, in that moment, Miss Sullivan saw something in me. Something that I did not see in myself. The confidence that I had out there when I did not have to use my voice was not the same confidence I used when I was in the classroom. And that's when Miss Sullivan took it upon herself to push me each time, to help me to build that same confidence that I had there or out on the field there. Miss Sullivan rejuvenated that spirit in me. In life, there are 4 people that you will meet. And I call them the pack. P-A-C-K. One who will push you, one who will accept you, one who will comfort you, and one who keeps you moving forward. I want you to take a moment right now to think about the pack in your life. Miss Sullivan was pushing me. Miss Sullivan was the P. And even though throughout grade school, I would often go back to Miss Sullivan knowing that she was the only one that seemed to see me and see the potential in me and connect with me. Other teachers tried to do the same, but it wasn't quite there. When I hit high school, and what is so remarkable is me standing inside this school, I remember track and field would be my life. And as I performed each time, my voice, though it was silent still, I performed on the track like I was loud and proud. But I remember on one specific day at one of the national track meets, we were in the 4x100 meter race. 4 young boys. Their aspirations of getting scholarships, their aspirations of winning a championship held in the balance of that one day. Our coach, Mr. Landry, was always so excited and wanted to see the very best in us. Mr. Landry was the type of person that saw each of us for what we can bring to the table. You have someone like that? Someone who sees, as Ms. Hassan said, the value in you. But it's amazing that on that specific day, 4 boys lined up. And we started that race. And after the first exchange, we were about in second place. We came to that third exchange, and it was my turn to get the baton. I took off like a squirrel on steroids. But my partner couldn't catch me. Time and time again, we're trying to grab the baton, and the baton is not going in my hand. And then finally, it dropped on the ground. And with that, all aspirations of winning national championship. I want you to think back to a time when you failed. When you didn't get what you had expected to receive. When you didn't win what you expected to win. When you were not great. We sat inside that field dejected, knowing that we're not going to get our scholarships. We're not going to be national champions. And I kept thinking about Miss Sullivan and wanting to be back in that corner, unseen and unheard. But there was Mr. Landry, putting his arm around us like a good coach, putting his arm around us and saying, "It's all good. You'll get them next time. If you believe it, you will achieve it. Because I believe in you and all of your abilities." See, Mr. Landry became the A. He accepted us for who we were and what we brought to the table. He didn't try to change us or be upset about the situation. Instead, he uplifted us in our worst moments and understood who we were and what we can do. And sometimes life brings failures, and it's okay. The greatest people who have ever walked this planet took those failures, got up, dusted themselves off, and did it again. That's the beauty of who we are as human beings. That failure is not where we have to stay. It is just a mere stepping stone to our greatness. He accepted us. Years later, I'm working. I'm finally out in the job field, and I'm working, and I'm at this beautiful company as an accountant clerk, helping out, because that is what I always wanted to be as my life had progressed. I had always said to myself, you know what, I want to be an accountant. My dad's accountant, whoo, man. I remember he would walk into my house, and every time he walked into the house, he had a strut with him, you know. Let me do it. He had a little strut. Hey, Roger, how you doing? Like Denzel Washington. Now, I remember I used to sit there and I said to myself, I want to be just like him. Ooh, cool cat. And I crafted my entire being around becoming an accountant. And I sat in my office one day as a co-op student working at a firm. And in that time, I remember sitting there at about 4 o'clock in the afternoon one day. And as I'm finishing up the last notes that I had, something hit me. This isn't for me. All this time, I wanted to be an accountant because now I could be behind the scenes. I don't have to be heard. I don't have to be seen. I'm just doing numbers, and I'm okay with this. But it didn't feel like me. I walked into my boss's office, and there was Ken sitting there. And Ken looked at me, and I said, Ken, I can't do this. This is not me. I want you to think about moments when you were doing something that you felt after a while, that's not what I want to do. We actually heard someone up on this stage talk about it himself. But he had his whole vision of him being a poet and then turning around and realizing this wasn't what he needed to do. Sometimes these things happen in our lives. And when I left there, I went home, and there was my mother on the porch, and my mom is sitting there reading her book, and as she's reading, she sees me pull up, and I sat down beside her. And in that moment, I looked at my mom, and I said, Mom, I think I want to join the family business. My father and I had not gotten along for a long time, and I knew that it was going to be a transition for myself, but I knew in that moment it would be a great transition. It would be great for me to finally step up and come out of the corner that I had been in so long. And with my father, and knowing how he was, very strict, very, very strong man, this was my time to finally shine. My mom looked at me and she said simply this: you will know when the time is right. You will be ready and you will find the greatness within you, because you know what, son? Being great isn't about you. It's about how you inspire others to find their greatness. So if you are able to find your way through this path, I'm sure that others are going to be inspired by you. And I worked hard for my father. I worked hard learning the business. I worked hard getting his approval. I worked hard to find me. I had the right people. I just didn't see it. You ever have the right people in your life, you just are blind to seeing that they're right there? Miss Sullivan pushed. Mr. Landry accepted. And every time I fell and I got back up, and I fell and I got back up, and I fell and I got back up, Mom became the sea. Comfort she comforted me every time with her words of wisdom and her beautiful smile and her cheerful, cheerleading attitude. Mom consistently comforted me in my moments of despair. Life has shown me different parts and has allowed me to grow as a person. It's allowed me to see myself for who I could be. It has allowed me to look at the different progressions of my life, and I'm hoping that it's allowing you to look at the progressions of your own, to see how you have gotten to where you are right now. And you are still young for most of you. There's much more out there. There is a sea of unimaginable possibilities waiting for you. You just have to find the right connections and to find where you want to be. Ironically, throughout that entire time with my parents and working in that company, I grew. I found a voice. I started to speak a little bit more. I learned how to feel comfortable talking to people and getting to know people. Until one day, I stepped into the office of a brand new supervisor of one of the companies that we had dealt with. And as I walked into his office, I remember him sitting behind his computer, his red hair, blue eyes. As I stepped in, I said, "Hi, how you doing? My name is Roger, and I just wanted to introduce myself and welcome you." You know what he did? Nothing. He sat there in silence and just looked at me. I tried to talk some more, and what was 5 minutes felt like 5 hours. But in that period of time, I realized who he was. He was no different than me. He was an introvert. And I did not know how to handle an introvert. So I went back to my office, said a few things that I can't say here, and I realized that I needed help. And that's when I joined an organization that helped people to learn how to communicate and become great leaders. And I learned how to use my voice properly. I learned how to create masterful magic from just using this beautiful voice that I have. It is beautiful, right? Say it's beautiful. Say it's beautiful. Say it's beautiful. Thank you. It's beautiful. I use this voice of mine to help me speak. No longer in the corner anymore. That young boy had moved along in this progression of life. And all of a sudden, I'm doing a speech one day, and a gentleman comes up to me, and he puts his hand on my shoulder after I'm finished my speech, and he says to me, "One day, you are going to be a champion. I can feel it." Now, many of you in that moment might say, "What? Nah." But he kept saying it. Each time that I spoke, each time that I finished a speech, each time that I completed a phase in the program, there he was. "You will be a champion. I can feel it." I want you to take a moment and think about people in your life that see things in you that you don't see in yourself. Moments when they say something that you never saw. They were the new eyes for you. That was Sanjay. And Sanjay became my K. A reason to keep moving forward. Sanjay taught me that you can have all the natural abilities you want. You can see things from your own perspective, but if somebody else sees something more in you, that is a gift. That is a beautiful feeling to know that somebody could see something in you that you never saw in yourself. And with that, that brings greatness. That brings the greatness that you didn't even know you had. But it's kind of like what my mom said, being great isn't always about you. It's about how you inspire others to find their greatness. And that's what Sanjay did by becoming that K in my life. By allowing me to understand the value of who I was and that I should keep moving forward. Now can you imagine if I had not met P-A-C-K? Where would I be? Maybe I wouldn't be on this stage right now speaking to all of you. Maybe if Sanjay didn't continue to push and tell me that I would be a champion one day, I wouldn't have made it to the World Championship of Public Speaking 4 times and placed top 3 in the world. Maybe if I didn't have my mother there comforting me each and every way, each and every step, if I didn't have her there to be my cheerleader, where would I be? If Mr. Landry never accepted us for who we were in that very moment and said, you know what? I know you got it. You got this. Just believe in yourself. Where would I be? And of course, without the 6'6" athletic teacher who pushed me and knew there was more to me than even I knew, where would I be? Each one of you has a pack. And if you don't know who your pack is, take a moment tonight and think about it. Who in your life pushes you beyond your limits? Who accepts you time and time again for who you are? Who is there when you falter to comfort you and pull you up? And who, after all that is said and done, keeps moving you forward? Now, you might be wondering, whatever happened to those 4 boys that day? Well, the following year, in our senior year, we went back to the World Championships. And yeah, we won it all. With a record time. But that just goes to show you, life is about having a pack. Life is about understanding who you are. Life is about seeing the greatness within yourselves. Life is about taking that same greatness and then passing it on to someone else to see the greatness within themselves so that they can dream big dreams. They can have large aspirations. They can understand who they are and be accepted for their colors, their creeds, or their religions. But more importantly, that they can walk amongst all of you feeling proud to be who they are in their own skin. I was once a shy young boy who sat in a corner of a classroom and never wanted to be heard or seen. Today I stand before you in front of thousands of people, speaking on a regular basis, sharing my stories and sharing my knowledge and trying as hard as I can to inspire others because others inspired me. Who's inspiring you? And you? And those in the back? Who's allowing you to find your greatness? And who are you inspiring to find their greatness?
All right. So, thank you to Roger for giving that wonderful talk. Did we all enjoy it? So, on a scale of 1 to 10, how did we enjoy all the talks today? 11? Okay. So, I need a shout out from everyone. What is one thing you learned from this event? Authenticity and the power of human connections. Great. So if we could get that projector going on in the back real quick. So once we get that projector running on, there we go. Okay, so if you guys take a look, we do have our own TEDx sign that is here right now. A couple of us execs took hard work making it. We have Reese Reha here and Nicholas Smith. They took help making this sign. And we also have Raja, Nick Smith again, and Hari Patel who helped make this sign. If you guys know, this took us a very long time, but it turns out to look great. So, a special thanks to Nick F., Nicholas Forgazi. So, funny story about Nick. Yesterday, drove him to the hospital. He cut his hand making the sign. So that goes to show TEDx execs put their heart and soul, blood and tears into this event. There we go. Okay, so a special thank you to all those people who helped us. Big round of applause. Thank you so much. So to continue our thank yous, we like to give a special thank you to the Parent Council. This event would not be possible without them. Round of applause. Thank you so much. And this event would not have been possible without the TEDx Council and the media team. So, this year we had a general council as well as a core council. I'm going to read all these names because they all deserve credit. So we have Devshri, Shagri, also Zara, Kate, Amira, Eric, Arun, Gerline, Soha, Ainsley, Maroon, William, Emma, and Jolene. So a special thank you to our general council. And then, lastly, but not least, our core council themselves. So a very thank you to our vice presidents, Nadia and Hari, marketing, yep. And then a special thank you to marketing, Nick, the guy who cut his hand, as well as Vivian, who was publicity. For both of those, our assistant was Aliza. A very good job to all of them this year. We also had double execs for logistics and sponsorships. We had Zishan, Niti, and their assistants were Ishan, Delisha, and Kavanaya. So a thank you to them as well. We're almost done. So our finance team was Madi and Noah. Speaker relations was Kimmy, Franny, Ellie. There we go. And then And then a special thank you to our media team, photographers was Ovian and Arushi. Ovian's helping out with the switching, and Arushi was also helping out with the projector. Also, a very big thank you to one of our student speakers, Raja Bharat. He made our stage visual as well, and our audio technician, Taj Tatla, and also Nick, who was helping out on that. So a very big thank you to them. So, this is my conclusion. I'm wrapping up, don't worry. So, a lot of people have asked me this year about what my future aspirations are. And to their surprise, I'm not going into an English degree. They asked me, why are you running a TEDx event? Shouldn't you give it to someone who really wants to pursue English? So a big reason why I chose to take this role this year is because I want to play a part in being able to change people. I'm not the best speaker. I'm trying my best up here. But we had these wonderful speakers who came and did the job. We had Raja Bharat, Mark Cueto, Mahmoud Ahmed, sorry, I was reading your first and last name, Mira Seth, Miss Hassan, Jenna Eshesh, and Roger Caesar. They all did a wonderful job, so a big round of applause to them. So I want you all to go home learning something, learning that the power of human connections can only change your life for the better. And to seek these connections in your future life, through your career, through people, through relationships, and more. Remember that the most important thing is yourself. And the only way to reach your potential is to overachieve. And to overachieve is through human connections. Thank you.
Hold on. And I think we should all give a big round of applause for our president, Jacob Bahadur, for putting us all together.
Thank you. It's on. Thank you.
All right, well, the mic's not working, but Jacob really did put his blood, sweat, and tears into organizing this event. So, I think the real MVP tonight, Mr. Jacob Bahadur.
Thank you. Appreciate it. On that note, thank you all for coming. We much appreciate it. And make sure to come to our TEDx Youth event next year.
I had a whole speech ready.
Oh, you did? Oh.